This weekend, the Fanatec GT2 European Series is in Valencia. The cars are on the grid, and the first of the two races set to get underway, with the two races here and then Paul Ricard still to come before the end of the season. The formation lap is 10 minutes away. There is the grid all formed up, all good to go. The GT2 concept still in its relative infancy. Lots of different drivers have come in, had a look and done a handful of races and perhaps think about a programme for the following season. So it's all there, all the ingredients are there, all ready to sort of gel. It just hasn't quite yet kicked on and given the bigger grids. What we do have though is always good racing. And with the championship doing what other series do, which is to have a kind of pit stop penalty, a success compensation format, it means that people winning race after race after race is very unusual indeed. It can be done because of safety cars or just straightforward driver ability, but with people carrying extra time in the pits in races, it does mean that it's a very open competition. So the cars on track, pole position went to the Audi of Henri Hassad and Anthony Beltoise. It was Henri Hassad that set the time for this race and Anthony who did it for tomorrow's race. So two pole positions really did serve to illustrate how quick a car that is and how it might take quite a lot of stopping over the course of the two races. Championship coming to Valencia after Portimao, Dijon prior to that, Red Bull Ring before that, and the season starter at Monza. David Addison trackside. Gemma Scott is down on the grid, and she's found Stinus Longin a race winner this year.
Stinus, since qualifying this morning, it's got hotter and hotter down here.
Yeah, you can really feel it on the new asphalt here. It's getting hot today, yeah.
It's going to be a tough race ahead, right?
Yeah, I think so. We're in second position for this race, so Peter did a good job in qualifying. But still, it's a long race. I think the balance of the Audi is good, so that's also why the two Audis are in front. Yeah, looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a good race.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Stinus Longin will carry an extra 10 seconds in the pits, a legacy of earlier success. And there is Henri Hassad, pole position driver, 7 seconds extra in the pits. 116 seconds is the regulation time, and then, as I say, the successful cars from Portimao carrying the slightly longer pit stops. So 10 for Gullings and Longin, 7 for Henri Hassad and Anthony Beltoise, and 5 for Nicolas Salins and Stefan Rossina. Anthony Beltoise will do the second stint in the pole position car. Before all of that, though, he can talk to Gemma on the grid.
Anthony down on the front row, of course. Henri's put it in pole for this race. You qualified in pole in your session earlier for tomorrow's race. That's a pretty textbook start to the weekend. Can you convert that now into a race win?
Yes, we are very happy with this double pole. It's also 2 points, 1 point for Henri, 1 point for me. So for us, for the championship, it's important. And now for the race, we have to manage the tire because it's very hot now. Yeah. Very, very hot. So the Audi is a heavy car compared to the KTM. So we are looking to manage the tire and to do the best result possible.
So managing the tyres is one thing, but also managing yourselves in the car. What temperatures are you hitting in the cockpit?
I don't know, maybe 60 degrees. Huh?
Yeah,
yes,
it's insane.
Yes, it's a lot.
How do you cope with that heat?
Now, you know.
It certainly is. How do you cope with that?
We drink a lot, and respiration in the straight. You know, you try to have a good respiration.
Well, it's going to be a challenging race all round. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Beltoise, the son of the great Jean-Pierre, Grand Prix driver, race winner, and the nephew of François Sever, former Formula 3 racer, but triple Carrera Cup France champion, double French GT champion, Anthony Beltoise. So a very, very rapid driver. There's another experienced man, Jean-Luc Bobelic, the Pro-Am winner in the GT4 European Series last year. He shares with Ludovic Badet, former Formula Renault turned GT driver. And the 5-minute board shown. So the countdown continues to this 50-minute race. And another of the quick cars on the grid, the KTMs. There are quite a lot of those. And Stefan Rossina is one of the fastest drivers. He's with Gemma.
Stefan, second row here. A couple of Audis in front of you. You're first of the expos here. These look absolutely stunning on this grid, and great to see them growing in number.
thank you very much. Yeah, I do believe we have a beautiful design of a car and seems to be quick, so let's see how it goes today.
How confident are you guys coming down into that first corner? Previous races today, we've seen 3 heading down that straight.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be, I think, close, but you know, our tactics is to survive the first lap and go 4 points, so let's see.
And of course, with that heat, managing the tyres is going to be key as well.
Yeah, and this is why I think that, let's see. I mean, I don't want to say something up front, but I hope we will do well.
I have a feeling you think these cars are going to do well, better than the Audis.
Well, you have to think that Audis would win all pole positions during the season, so they have a little bit of upper hand on a speed, but I think, let's say, during the 1 hour race, we could also make them, we can fight them, I think.
We'll set a rendezvous in 1 hour.
Thank you
Thanks a lot, Stefan.
Thank you.
So Stefan Rossina, double Skoda champion, but really made a name for himself in Porsche Super Cup and in FIA GT1 in the early noughties. Then had a long break, went off to build up his business and automotive parts business, and came back in the International GT Open series and in GT2. There, Mauro and Benjamin Ricci's Mercedes, father and son team, and it is Mauro Ricci who will start. And there the grid then with the last few minutes of the countdown being concluded. So Henri Hassad to start from pole position. Will be very rapid, I would have thought, over the first stint. On the back row of the grid, we ought to point out, is the white and black and red Audi of Stefan Rattal that had a drama, I think, in qualifying. It never quite got the pace that you might have anticipated. And Stefan will be one to watch, I think, over the course of the first stint. Mauro Ricci is in his Mercedes, good to go, and Gemma is down there, crouched by the side of the Mercedes.
Mauro, obviously a father-son partnership here, racing.
Just amazing to race with my son. I spend the weekend with my son. We race together, so we are really close. Just fantastic.
Have a fantastic race. Thanks, Mauro.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And they've already been winners this year, just to make the point about the way that different wins have been split. The opening race was won at Monza by Henri Hassad and Anthony Beltoise. Second race at Monza, Peter Gulinck's Stinus Langin. Then they went to the Red Bull Ring, where the Riccis won. And the second race went the way of Nicolas Salins and Stefan Rossina. At Dijon, Martin Koch and Reinhard Koffler won the first. They're in the entry as well. Peter Gulinck's and Stinus Langin won the second Dijon race. And at Portimao, Hassad and Beltoise won race 1. And Gulinck's and Langin won race 2. Hence, they get the full 10 seconds of compensation time in the pits. Mantas Janovicius sharing with Aurelius Rustica in the Pseudo Martini liveried Porsche. Aurelius Rustica making a welcome return to the series, having been 5th in Pro-Am last year, but he's not done every race this year. Mantas Janovicius raced in the Porsche Sprint Challenge in the North European zone and in GT3 Porsche events last year, now adapting to a different type of Porsche, but staying loyal to the brand. That is the KTM that will be shared by Martin Koch and Reinhard Koffler. Right, engines fire at the 1 minute board. So we're just about good to go. Reinhard Koffler mentioned in that green and black KTM, Formula BMW racer many years ago, but like others, when the sort of career momentum dipped, went away from the sport for a while, came back recent seasons and has been a very regular gun for hire for the KTM team. And also on the entry you'll find the T of KTM, Trunkenpolz, Hubert Trunkenpolz. It was his uncle that was one of the founders of the company. And he shares with the triple world motorcycle champion, 125 title and 2 250s. For Danny Pedrosa, he will do the second stint in the car that's on the back row of the grid, the orange KTM with its tail towards us there. So the cars set away on the formation lap, down towards turn 1, with the pole position driver Henri Hassad then heading into the first corner. Chance to get warmth into the Pirelli tyres. Henri Hassad himself, very experienced competitor, many years of racing, and French GT champion, one of which titles came with Anthony Beltoise. So Hassad on pole, Gulix with him at the front, lining up third. Bobalik and Salens to go from fourth. Fifth will be Janovicius and Ricci Senior, Mauro Ricci sixth on the grid. Then it will be Koch's KTM and the AM pole sitter Kravec alongside. Angerhofer and Gorini share the fifth row. Rattel and Trunkenpolz the last row of the grid. Stefan, I think, one to watch, assuming that Audi plays ball now, because it had twice its session interrupted with pit stops. It just never, as I say, really felt as though it was 100% earlier on in the day. So we'll see what it can do now. And also Mathieu Di Gusto, who will do the second stint, is a quick driver too. So that's another facet of the race, the differing speeds of co-drivers to factor into this as well. It may not be the biggest grid, but we have, as I say, had some interesting racing this year, and hopefully more of the same. The idea is that this year it's branched its wings a little bit, gone to other events. There aren't some quick drivers in it and some experienced drivers, there certainly are. So Stefan Rattel has taken it to Dijon, he's taken it to the Red Bull Ring, to non, if you like, GT events, to show to people that might, for example, do historic events or one-mate racing, the benefits of doing something else in desirable cars at nice circuits. And as I say, lots of people have sort of popped in and had a look and gone away and tried to get a program together. So there's always optimism for next year. And the drivers that you have been pretty much loyal to the championship since its instigation. Brands like Audi building cars, Mercedes, now KTM as well have come on stream, Porsche, all charmed by Stefan's vision. See how successful GT3 is and how successful GT4 has become. There's nothing to suggest that GT2 won't be a success. And of course the manufacturers, if they can sell cars, will be very happy to keep building them. So everybody very supportive of the concept, and the racing is good. People that come into it always seem to enjoy themselves and want to come back. So there, the all Audi front row. Henri Hassan on the inside in the grey car. On the outside, the bright yellow car is Peter Gulix. It's going to be these two then as they accelerate up towards the line. The lights on the gantry are red. They will change on instruction then as the front row heads towards the line on this long pit straight. The lights do not go green, and an extra formation lap is called. So the clock starts, but the lights did not change. So they'll go round again. But a messy, untidy start. The race director unhappy, and so they will do another lap. The race effectively on, because the clock is ticking down, but the GT2 cars needing an extra formation lap. We've had this already once today in the Lamborghini race that came earlier. But an extra formation lap within the 50 minutes required, and therefore drivers will hope to get the message and be better behaved second time around. Henri Hassan then leads the field, but they'll get back into that 2x2 formation in due course. So there is Mauro Ricci's Mercedes turning through. With the yellow lights flashing around the circuit, the drivers now getting the message about what they should be doing and not to transgress again. So you can sense its frustration for them, but the drivers kind of penalise themselves really, in as much as you were the ones that were untidy, so you lose the lap. So drivers now get themselves coming out of turn 11 into formation, and we will be good to go shortly. So they're back side by side. Koch's KTM a little bit further back in the queue. So the cars up towards the line. This time it looks a little bit tidier, and so hopefully the lights will go green this time, and Henri Hassad accelerates away. The lights do go green. It is blast off, and a good effort being made by Jean-Luc Bobelic in the Mercedes on the inside. Then comes storming up on the inside of Nicolas Salins to go through and not only get third but get second. And actually the one that loses out is Peter Gulings, who gets run way out wide. He'd lost a load of places and then forced off the road. So Hassad leads the way. Bobelic second, or is he? No. Round the outside again comes Nicolas Salins to fight back. Peter Gulings tries to retaliate as well. Look in the yellow Audi as they wriggle their way for the first time of asking down towards turn 4. So after that slow start and being forced out wide, Gulings then in a hurry and very definitely trying to get his elbows out and fight back as the cars now sprint their way up towards turn 6 for the first time. The start is under investigation, we understand. Start's under investigation. There is Stéphane Rattel turning his way through a little bit further back in the queue. But Henri Hassad leading the way as the cars then turn now up through turn 8 and drop down the hill. They'll flick the S's at 9 and 10, and 10 itself, a proper corner as you come now down through that left. Then it's the short straight. And you can see the way that Hassad is getting away. Running a bit wide there, Nicolas Salins in second place, and that now puts right onto his tail. Jean-Luc Bobelic there in the Mercedes ASP Mercedes. So Gulings in fourth, trying to recover. As down they come then to the end of the opening lap of the race. 46 minutes still to run. And number 15, Nicolas Salins, under investigation for a jump start. So Nicolas Salins under investigation. Leaders go by. Gap at the end of lap 1, 0.6 of a second between Henri Hassad and Nicolas Salins. Wide goes Bobelic. He was briefly second, but not for much longer. So off the road he goes. So Nicolas Salins loses out and therefore through up into second spot once more. Nicolas Salins second with Bobelic going out wide, and so Hassad continuing to lead. Now Gulings looking fourth place is coming back at them. So now, as the cars turn their way up to the completion of lap number 3, the yellow Audi is starting to become rather more of a threat. So Beltoise, Hassad's Audi leads, the Salins, Rossina, KTM in second place, and then the Bobelic Badet Mercedes yo-yoing, but at the moment down in third. Henri Hassad leading, not breaking away necessarily that much at the moment, and of course 7 seconds to serve in the pits. That will give the advantage if he can stay close enough to Jean-Luc Bobelic in third, because he's the leading driver not to have to serve any extra time in the pit lane. The Porsche at the back of the queue there, you see number 5, Mantis Janavicius, trying to get after Mauro Ricci. And the man most likely to gain a place at the moment, I would suspect, is Peter Gulings in fourth place. The yellow Audi then getting closer and closer and closer to the back of Bobelic as they come up towards the end of the lap. Janavicius is on the tail of Ricci a little bit further back in the queue, as you can see. They come towards the line now. So leader goes through. Henri Hassad currently clear by 0.9 of a second. Nicolas Salins behind him. Under investigation, remember, for a jump start. Third is Bobelic, fourth is Gulings. In fifth place it is Martin Koch. There, number 16 going through, Klaus Angerhofer, who has lost a place on that lap to Leonardo Guarini.
5-second time penalty to car 15 to be taken at the pit stop for jump start.
So right now, Henri Hassad trying to build a gap over everybody else. And as the cars come up towards turn 6, let's have a look and see why Nicolas Salins might be under investigation. So the KTM accelerates and then slows, but it's going to be given a 5-second penalty to be served at the pit stop. So the KTM given a 5-second penalty for a jump start, and Nicolas Salins, you could argue, didn't really benefit from it anyway, but he'll benefit even less with the penalty to be taken on the pit stop. So 5 seconds extra, bearing in mind that car anyway had to serve 5 as its compensation pit stop time. So it's going to delay the car even further. So 5 seconds plus 5 seconds, you can see what I mean now for Nicolas Salins, with the extra penalty, if you like, being added on. So that's going to help Jean-Luc Bobelic and Ludovic Badet even more as long as they don't drop too far back to begin with. Car goes through. So up front at the moment, it is Henri Hassad, Nicolas Saylands 1.3 seconds back. Jean-Luc Beaubelic, though, is relatively new to this, having only raced in GT2 at Portimao, but he seems to be adapting to these cars very effectively indeed, because he's now done the fastest lap of the race. Mantas Janavicius goes through, and as he does so, the Porsche running in 7th spot, hunting down Mauro Ricci, looks to try to make a move on the inside line there, going up the hill, can't do it. Mercedes comes out ahead. And not only did the Porsche fail to go by, but also I would offer you that Mauro Ricci's got away a little bit more, and then behind it is Jan Krabec in the KTM. Now that's the same class of car, an AM entrant, as the Janavicius Rustica Porsche, so a class battle therefore building up between them. So there in super slow-mo is the Mauro Ricci Mercedes. Turns through, being chased by Mantas Janavicius, using the curb there in the Ebi Motors Porsche. Now Jean-Luc Beaubelic up into 2nd place, so having already done the fastest lap, he's now put himself into 2nd spot and is absolutely charging on. That's the race leader. That is Henri Hassad in the Audi, clear of Beaubelic. Now Nicolas Saylands trying to fight back as the car comes up to the exit of turn 7. The Mercedes here looks the stronger, but the KTM comes down the hill, brakes hard for the hairpin. To the inside line goes Saylands, but there's no opportunity to go through there. If he can force a mistake out of Beaubelic, maybe at the next sequence of corners, but a mistake does not come. Through they turn once more the short straight up towards turn 12, and Henri Hassad now is continuing to build that lead. He's being helped a little bit by Beaubelic and Saylands, who's scrapping over 2nd place. The Mercedes looks great in that colour scheme, and Jean-Luc Beaubelic going very well with that car. Different co-driver, he had help in the Portimao races when he debuted from Christophe Bourret. This weekend, Ludovic Badet takes over. In the past, we've had Jean-Luc Beaubelic with Jim Pla. Well, Jim is doing Lamborghini and GT3 duties this weekend. Probably felt doing GT2 as well was just a bit much. Martin Koch goes through, and that was how 2nd place changed. The KTM deep coming out of the corner, and that enabled through on the inside line to go Jean-Luc Beaubelic. So that was coming out of turn 4. Nicolas Saylands now tries to fight back, bearing in mind, of course, he's got this sort of double whammy in the pits. So the car's currently on lap 7, and the drivers have got another 8 minutes or so before they need to worry about the pit window, which in some cases is purely a regulation pit stop. In other cases, it is to do a driver change, and therefore to possibly shape the second part of the race. Stefan Rattel, in the meantime, by the way, in 11th place, closing a little bit on Klaus Angerhofer. Stefan doing a personal best lap last time around, and Henri Hassad has now done the fastest lap of the race. So the race leader, now the fastest man on circuit, and a big drama for Leonardo Guarini, whose Porsche goes around. Gets it going again, but time lost, so Guarini spins, and drama for Janavicius, who has got fluid coming out of the car, and they're all catching it. Rattel is off the road, a KTM is off the road, Janavicius dropping liquid, and people are finding that, slithering off the circuit. So all of a sudden the road has become slippery, it's become rather leery. if it's only coolant, it should dry pretty quickly. I don't think it's anything more serious than that. And the Porsche is carrying on, but you can see a whole line has been laid. Rattel slithers his way out of the last corner. Others come through, but drivers all of a sudden catching a slippery line. Leonardo Gorini went around, but Janovicius, well, the coolant either appears to have run out or the drama has stopped. I'd rather fear that if it's run out, it's going to be very hot and bothered. More of it gushes out as he loads the car through the corner. That surely is the sort of situation now where the officials are going to want him in. But hopefully, if the dials are going up, yes, now Janovicius gets the message. I was going to say the car's overheating with no coolant. He parks it. And so hopefully, although there is liquid down on the racetrack, that will dry pretty swiftly. But dramas all of a sudden as people caught it coming out of turn 12, slithered off the road. And there, Janovicius' car parked by the side of the circuit. So a slippery surface flag is being shown, and drivers, you can see the line there coming out of turn 4, trying to tiptoe away from that. Meantime, whoops, Gulings gets it wrong at 12, goes off the road. So that's the first time there he's encountered it, and that's Bobelik going wide at 13. So Nicholas Salins goes back up the inside into second place. Through they come. So Henri Hassad leading from Jean-Luc Bobelik in second spot, becoming Nicholas Salins in second spot, but Bobelik has another look on the inside line. Now they've just got to be careful that they know exactly where the road is slippery, and another car has spun at turn 12 and he's in the gravel. And as you look at the battle going up towards turns 2 and 3, at 12, one of the KTMs is in the gravel bed, and I rather fear it's going to need the safety car to get it out of there. We'll see in a moment as the fight between Salins and Bobelik rages on. But around the lap, there is a stranded car. And the safety car is being deployed because there is Hubert Trunkenpolz, who has been caught out by the coolant on the road and has dropped it in the gravel. So safety car deployed. Safety car called for. And Aurelius Rustica is not going to have a drive because his is the car that's dropped the liquid and is parked out of the race. So safety car conditions, all of which of course counts within the race duration. Now to get this KTM out of the gravel should not take that long. It's absolutely on the edge of the road, but it can't move on its own. And so the recovery vehicle will be on the scene pretty quickly, one hopes. Just wonder as well whether this safety car period might be a longer one, just to put some cement dust down on the tricky parts of the circuit where the coolant was. So there is the scene at 12. See what I mean about the KTM being right on the edge of the road. And depending on how long this takes, it may well be that we have to delay the pit window. Officials might also want the Porsche out of harm's way as well. So the safety car comes by. Field turning down towards turn 1. So the KTM, I can see the operation to recover that is underway. And whether or not the marshals are going to be allowed onto the circuit to attend to any liquid. Definitely didn't look like oil, did it? But as I say, if it is just coolant, that should evaporate relatively quickly. It catches you out for a lap or so, but then should dry fairly swiftly. There is one of the officials on the track, on the pit straight, having a look, I think, at the liquid to assess whether that's oil or water. But slightly randomly, there are men on the pit straight. Anyway, hopefully under the safety car like this, they can easily be avoided. So I'm hoping that the officials on the track are reporting back to race control to say, yes, it's very slippery, or no, it's fine, it's liquid, it's water, it's evaporating, whatever it might be. The race director trying to keep the race going rather than stop and have to waste a whole load of time clearing up treating liquid. But as I say, although there is a line, I don't think it would be lasting all that long. What we don't know is how Janovicius started with that problem. So there it is, it's already leaking. We saw Gorini go around, so he was about the first one to catch it coming out of turn 11. Got going again. Then coming into turn 12, there's more fluid. Janovicius gets on his own liquid and has a massive slide. And that's where it was at its worst. It's all gushing out of the side. But whether he's run over something to cause that to drop out of the bottom, that we've not been able to trace. Others catch it, like Peter Gulinks, so goes off the road. So Gulinks survives, but others scrabbling for grip all around the circuit. And then Trunkenpolz turns into turn 12, just catches it, and into the gravel he goes. And a red flag is now being shown. So the race is being stopped. So this, I think, is so that the circuit can be treated. So radiator in the front of Porsches, that will look to be coming out of the side of the car. But it certainly deposited quite a lot on probably a good half of the lap. So the race stopped, red flag shown, and we await news as to how long this stoppage is likely to be. We haven't yet got to the pit window. It might be that the race director enables the teams to do the driver change now, add on the success time at the end, and then go racing with a shorter part 2. But we will wait and see. There are marshals with the brushes and brooms heading onto the track. So the race suspended. It will in due course, I would envisage, get back underway with a safety car restart. But for now, liquid being attended to. KTM is being dragged backwards through the gravel rather than onto the circuit. But anyway, it's being recovered. And the clock stopped at 31 minutes and 56 seconds. Drivers getting ready for the second stint. The True Racing squad. There's the Porsche that's rather caused all of this. And the brooms go to work. The marshals, many of whom had to help with barrier damage repairs this morning, now having to try and treat the liquid. Now, one of the drivers who will do the second part of the race in KTM number 16, Sedi Samini. He's in the pit lane, but while all this goes on, has time to talk to Gemma.
What's the confusion?
Yeah, because now it would be just a normal time for changing the drivers, but now under red flag, so everything should be postponed. I think it's not possible changing the drivers under red. Whereas yellow would be fine, but now it's red.
And talking to Klaus in the car, has he said to you about the conditions on track? It's obviously very slippery.
Yeah.
So we had to stop the race due to oil on track on more than 1 kilometer. So we need to treat everything. The race will be interrupted for at least 20 minutes.
To find out which number, which turn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So 20-minute delay before the restart. So the voice you heard sort of over the top of the interview, that of the race director Alain Adam, saying that the oil slick or the liquid slick goes for more than 1 kilometre, so that's perhaps too great to risk and so it's being treated, and it will be at least 20 minutes before we can get things back underway. So quite a day for the race officials, what with the timetable needing a lot of tweaking this morning after Lamborghini's attacked the barriers, and now Porsche's piddling, dropping liquid on the road. Doesn't help either. So drivers getting out of their cars on the pit straight. We're under parc fermé conditions, so mechanics can't do any work on the cars, can't yet be allowed onto the circuit, but drivers taking the helmets off, and now you can see Mauro Ricci. Now, as I say, when we've had sort of similar situations in other SRO championships, what decision has been taken is that the driver changes happen, if you like, under this red flag period. You then put the success time on at the end of the race and run a sort of shorter second stint, if you like. But here, the race director may choose just to continue with the time remaining once the incidents are sorted out. It's a fair amount of track to treat, and then you've got to brush that cement dust in so it starts to soak the oil out of the road. So the race leader, Henri Hassad, is out of his car, and pretty much everybody on the grid out of cars, including Stefan Rattel, who's just gone to make sure that all his customers are happy. But the Audi is at the back of the queue right now, and Stefan awaits either the resumption of the race or news as to what's going to happen for the restart. His co-driver, Mattia Di Gusto, and Mattia is in the pit lane. We can hear his thoughts. He's with Gemma.
Matteo, a bit of a delay until you're going to be getting into the car, of course, but talk to me now about driving here in Valencia. It's a great circuit, it's a very tight circuit, it's quite technical.
Yeah, for me it's the first time here. It's funny, it's very technical and very narrow. Also in the corners it's very, very, very narrow, and I think it's funny with the GT cars because you have to find the space to overtake. Unfortunately, we've been delayed, and we suffered a bit of the oil on track for the oil on track, but we'll see at the restart what happens.
As an Italian driver yourself, people have been comparing this circuit to Misano. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's quite similar. I think because MotoGP is racing here, and so the curbs are very low, not high curbs, and yeah, also the layout is very, very similar to Misano. It's correct.
And of course, running here alongside the GT3, Europe, the World Challenge Europe Championship. You see DeFalco's down in the garage giving you a bit of encouragement, messing around a bit, having a bit of a laugh, with a lot of great relations with the GT3 drivers as well.
Yeah, I know quite a bit of them, and I'm very friend with Alberto. And yes, before during the GT World, I was with him in the garage, and now he's coming in mine. Yeah, it's funny. It's a nice environment, and it's good to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you.
So the drivers in the pit lane await their stint. And on track, the line of cars is all parked. Drivers, helmets off, chatting about their race so far. Stefan Rattel's car and helmet, and the man himself is perched on the pit wall. One or two other drivers, I've just noticed one of the KTM drivers is currently in the television compound, which I can see from my window. I think he's heading for a splash and dash, but he's now hidden behind two trucks, which might be where he is splashing. That is Martin Koch, who's got out of 812 KTM. And Hubert Trunkenpolz, whose car had to be pulled out of the gravel, stalks back. So the majority of the work is going on over at turn 12, 13, 14, that long arc, but also a little bit of work coming out of turn 11 as well, which is where we first saw people going off the road. So there's, yeah, quite a chunk of the circuit that Janovicius has coated with the liquid. Hubert Trunkenpolz sadly denies Dani Pedrosa a chance to race.
10 minutes, 10 minutes.
"10 minutes," you heard the race director call over the radio to get things back underway. The race will restart at 17:35. It will resume at 17:35. So we are where we are on the clock, 31 minutes and 56 seconds. And then you carry on from there, presumably, subject to confirmation.
Yeah, he will come now, he will restart.
Okay, you'll restart from here.
So that's going to give them effectively a lap, I guess, and then, unless it is delayed, then the pit window would be open. So Henri Hassad's car, which has been shown for the bulk of the race with the wrong driver, so therefore the fastest lap's credited to the wrong driver, but it will be Anthony Beltoise for the next stint. Right, Stefan Rossina, I think Gemma has found next, and we'll go to the pit lane and hear the thoughts of more drivers.
I will jump in.
It's a little bit of confusion down here at the moment, all the drivers. You tell us what's going to happen next.
Well, what's going to happen is that the track needs to be cleaned,
Yep.
and after that, our car number 17 will rejoin because he slid basically on oil that was not flagged. And then after, let's say, I would say after one lap, the pit lane will open, and then we will see some changes, driver changes.
Well, it looked quite exciting out there at one point with cars off all over the place, but by the time you get out, things will have calmed down quite considerably with the oil hopefully dried up and cleared up.
Yeah, that's true, though. Let's see. I mean, I think it's going to be close now again, and some of the cars will serve penalties, including our car. So I will come from the back, and let's see if we could move a little bit up.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Thank you.
So Stefan Rossina will take over. Hubert Trunkenpolt's car coming back into the race, therefore. It will have lost, how many laps? 3, potentially. And Danny Pedrosa, therefore, does get a chance to drive that car. Meantime, the brooms are still at work. Marshals, track workers, you name it, all busily sweeping the oil away. And the race director, Alain Adam, and his team getting ready to get things back up and running as soon as. So the drivers on the grid are putting the crash helmets back on because they've got about 7 minutes or so before the safety car will pull away. So you put the cement dust down, or the speedy dry, and then that has to be sort of blown away, the extraneous speedy dry blown clear, so it starts to just soak up. Now the teams are asking about the pit window, of course, because they want to know exactly when they are able to call the cars in. So red flag plus stop time, and the race will restart at 17:35, and it is now 17:28. So we're getting closer to the cars moving away again. And of course, with a race suspension like this, you don't have to regrid, you just move away, and the clock carries on ticking. So it's suspended rather than stopped. What it does mean, of course, is that all the gaps come down, and it does mean that Henri Hassad, who was leading the race, and when he gets to the pit stop has to serve an extra 7 seconds, will not have anything like the advantage that he did before. There is the Hassad Audi. So he leads from Nicolas Salins, and then Jean-Luc Bobelic in 3rd spot. Right, the race officials have just seen one of the course cars come back in. So they've been out, they've had a look at the circuit. Drivers are getting back in cars. The 5-minute board is about to be shown. So mechanics allowed onto the grid just to make sure that drivers are strapped into the cars properly. There is Anthony Beltoise, ready to take over the leading car. Jean-Luc Bobelic gets back on board the 3rd place Mercedes. This, of course, doesn't do any favours to Nicolas Salins, does it? Because they've got 5 seconds to serve as the success penalty and 5 seconds to serve for the jump start penalty. There's also gravel being swept out of the bottom of Peter Gullings' car after he went off at 12. And Stefan Rattel gets his gloves back on, and will, in a moment, hop on board the Audi once more. So Peter Gullings gets set. 5-minute countdown is underway. Peter Gullings was one of those drivers that caught the slippery surface. So let's hear his thoughts about what he discovered. He's with Jan.
Peter, yeah, it's hot. You're just fanning yourself down. I've just run from the other end of the pit lane to get here, so I sympathise. But talk to us now. The condition out there was pretty bad, right?
Yeah, I even came on the oil spill, and it was very tricky. I just managed to keep the car on the road, but it was too dangerous. So kudos to the race direction of stopping the race. This was too dangerous.
Absolutely, kudos indeed. And of course, now the restart opportunity. What's your plan?
Just give it hell, and then make sure my teammate has every possibility to get in front.
And that was, of course, has closed the field up as well.
Yes, so we're actually very happy. Let's take this disadvantage to make it an advantage.
I love your positivity. Have a good one. Thanks, Peter.
Although, of course, they say they're happy, but the 10 seconds they've got to serve is going to drop them further down the field. So, in a sense, that's not done them as many favours as his positivity might think. Anyway, 3-minute board is about to be shown to get things back underway. Or I was hoping it would be, because it's now 17:32 and the restart's at 17:35. Yes, 3-minute board is now being shown. So engines will fire up shortly, and then we'll be back in business. So safety car, and then the red flag. It'll be a safety car restart, and as far as I'm aware, the pit window is not being delayed. I haven't seen a message on the timing screen about that. Mauro Ricci we heard from before the race, and he is in 6th, ready for the resumption of the race.
You can hear the fan on there on the Mercedes, keeping the car cool, of course. But Mauro, just talk to us there. That was quite a disruptive first part of the race.
First part was good. I did a mistake at the beginning, good start. And after, I improved the rhythm. But it's like this. One car loses all the oil, and now we are here waiting. It's really cold today, really cold.
You keep that mindset. It's definitely cold. It's 10 degrees. Enjoy the restart. Make the best of it. We've closed the pack up.
Sorry, just it's too hot for old men like me, you know. I'm not a young man.
We'll get you some cold water standing by. Thank you.
So Mauro Ricci is just about prepared for the resumption of the race. His son Benjamin will take over that car, and the industrialists will go to the end looking for a second victory of the season. Now, of course, pack's closed up. That helps them because they don't have any extra time to serve in the pit, so it might have done them a favour, that. We'll find out. But interesting, the effect that the stoppage, the interruption, the suspension, call it what you will, is going to have. So engines are being fired up, the 1-minute board shown, and so in a moment or two the leading car, safety car as it is at the moment for the safety car restart, will lead them away, and the clock will carry on ticking. There, the drivers await the second stint. So Benjamin Ricci is ready because, as I'm expecting, it's going to be really just one lap round, and then they can dive to the pit lane. We've not had that contradicted on the timing screen as yet. So it's one lap behind the safety car, and then when every car has crossed the line, then the window will open. So in other words, it's 1 lap behind the safety car and then 1 racing lap and then the window will open, is the interpretation. The pit window is not
safety
open.
car in this lap, safety car in this lap.
So 1 lap behind the safety car, pit window is not open, that's what the timing screen is saying. So I think they want everybody to do 1 racing lap. That also just opens up a few gaps, I guess, as well, to make it a little bit safer coming into the pits rather than a constant line of cars. Right, so the longest GT2 race in history is underway, and the clock ticks on down. So ready to rejoin when the race gets underway is Hubert Trunkenpolz. So the car can rejoin, but it's losing another lap, of course, by not being allowed out yet, because this all counts. Oh, it is going now, they have let it out, good. So it doesn't lose another lap after all, but it's got a lot of time to make up. This lap does count within the duration of the race. So race order, Henri Hassad, the leader, from Nicolas Salins in 2nd place, and Jean-Luc Bobelic in 3rd, Peter Gulinks in 4th. 5th place, Martin Koch ahead of Mauro Ricci. Then 7th, leading AM, Jan Krabec from Klaus Angerhofer. Leonardo Guarini is 9th. 10th is Stefan Rattel. Out of the race is Mansas Janavicius. And delayed badly 3 laps down is Hubert Trunkenpolz, but the car is at least circulating once again. Benjamin Ricci getting ever more pumped for his stint. A podium beckons for that car. Another one I think that could be a dark horse is the Martin Koch Reinhard Koffler KTM. So safety car's gone sprinting away, ready to bring them in this time, or bring them round this time. 29 minutes remain. And so Henri Hassad, the race leader, he is good to go. Accelerates now down towards the exit of turn 14. They're still going to be careful even when they catch the speedy dry, but they blast away down the pit straight, and a really good restart from Hassad. And there, diving into the pit lane is Martin Koch, but the pit window is not open. So what we were told was that everybody had to go past the line before the pit window was opened, and it still says the pit window is not open. And so Martin Koch has come in, and if that's for the regulation pit stop, then he'll have to go and do it again. So the team is waiting for him, but they've not looked at the screen. It still says on the timing screen, pit window is not open. So the car is in, but they'll serve.
Pit window is now open.
Pit window is open now. Discuss. We came in before the window was open, so I would say that is a penalty. But Martin Koch and Reinhard Koffler's car straight away will be the subject of discussion from the stewards, because it came in before the window was open, but it got to the team as the instruction came, which was when every car had crossed the line. So, discuss. The race leader in the meantime, Henri Hassad, trying to break away from Nicolas Salins. Jean-Luc Bobelic then under attack from Peter Gulinks in 4th place. All of the speedy dry kicked up, so the driver's trying to stay off that as the cars then accelerate their way up towards turn 12. It is Audi from KTM, then a gap back to a rather more circumspect Jean-Luc Bobelic on the resumption than he was earlier on in the race, because even now drivers are still trying to get tyres up to temperature and steer away from any liquid. So the road certainly not in ideal state as they come up then. Now with the window open, into the pits dives Salins, into the pits dives Bobelic, dives Gulinks. Others stay out for a little bit longer. So Martin Koch serving his pit stop to give way to Reinhard Koffler. The car swung to the team as the pit window opened, so I still think they might just get away with that. There is the Nicolas Salins car down the pit road. Behind is Jean-Luc Bobelic. So Henri Hassad is going to lead because he stayed out, and Mauro Ricci is up in the 2nd place. Even though he was suggesting to Gemma on the grid that he'd like to come in and get out of the car, he's hustling on for one more lap. And there, Leonardo Guarini, soloist in the Porsche. He, in turn, is on the back of Klaus Angerhofer. Right, so out gets Bobelic. Fuel goes in. And there, whoops, a little mistake by number 16 KTM. Klaus Angerhofer goes wide, goes off the road, so that gives Leonardo Guarini another place, which was 6th, which will really become 4th with others in the pits ahead of him. Nicholas Salen serving this very long stop with the extra 10 seconds applied, 2 batches of 5. There, Ludovic Badet will get on board 87 and join the race. Leonardo Guarini now goes for the class lead against Jan Krabbe. So he's picked his way up past Angerhofer, and now he's on the back of the black KTM of Krabbe. Mauro Ricci, you can envisage, would be in at the end of this lap in the Mercedes AMG 88 is on a final warning for track limits. 88 is Stefan Rattel. The pit stop of 812 is under investigation, to no surprise, as there Ricci comes for the pit lane and Guarini almost overlaps with Krabbe and then steers out of the pit lane to get the lead of the class and try and press on in clear air. So Leonardo Guarini was sort of in and then came out again. But now, with nobody ahead of him, he thinks this might be a chance to do a qualifying lap and try and push and see whether he can jump ahead of Krabbe on the pit stop cycle. That said, he's going to do it anyway because of Krabbe serving 14 seconds. So maybe that last swerve was a little bit unnecessary. Back into the race goes the Mercedes. You see the number 1 Audi being held for the 10 seconds. That car gets away now. So all of this is going to change the order somewhat. Away goes Mathieu Di Giusto. Away now goes Stinus Longin. And on track, the order will be changing again at the end of the next lap as more of them head to the pit lane. And we've got 25 minutes of the race still to go. So there is 67, which is Henri Hassad. Into Mercedes gets Benjamin Ricci. Well, we've seen how pumped he was, ready to go. And he's a quick driver, young Benjamin, so this ought to be one to watch, I think, on the second stint. In comes the race leader then, Henri Hassad, to give way to Anthony Beltoise. The Audi down through the gears, gets to the speed limit line. Beltoise in. So the Carrera Cup France driver, or champion, obviously Anthony Beltoise, to blast away in the leading car once he's taken it over. There, pushing on in the meantime, Stefan Rossina. So he's taken the car over from Nicholas Salens. 2 batches of 5 seconds applied to that. So lost some ground, but still stayed ahead of the Peter Gullings. Now Stinus Longin Audi. Beltoise being strapped in. Henri Hassad's work for the moment is done. Down the pit lane goes Jan Krabbe. Leonardo Guarini is in, Angerhofer is in as well. So this is the last pit stop for, or the pit stop for everybody. Done, the last few cars serving the pit stops. Leonardo Guarini out of the car while it was fueled, back in again. And we'll blast back into competition in a moment. So Anthony Beltoise then taking over the leading car from Henri Hassad, which has got some sort of transponder glitch because on the timing screen it's been constantly saying Beltoise will race. It's only now that he's got in the car. But it will be Anthony Beltoise to take the second stint. There is Ludovic Badet, who takes the Mercedes over from Jean-Luc Bobelik. Up towards turn 12 he comes. Flick right, go left. And Anthony Beltoise ready to go. So the race leader, 14 laps done. And away blasts Beltoise then. Goes down the pit lane, but where does that drop him to? Because there, heading into turn 1, is Ludovic Badet, so that's going to put the Mercedes ahead, isn't it now? So Badet ahead of Beltoise, also rejoining the race. You can see the KTM, and the fastest lap of the race now done by Stinus Longin. So Audi number 1 in the background, Stinus Longin, quickest man on the road. So the second stint now is going to be very interesting indeed. Longin's got to get himself up past Mathieu Di Giusto, who's taken over from Stefan Rattel. And there is the charging Audi. So Langevin pushing on. Also, Reinhard Koffler has done an absolute best in the first sector, but the pit stop of that car is still under investigation. Dive to the inside. Gusto goes through, moves himself up on the inside of Stefan Rossina, and Henri Hassad watches Anthony Beltoise then push on in the leading car. Little battle pack here, so you've got Gusto ahead of Rossina, ahead of Langevin, who dives to the inside line and easily goes through. Stefan Rossina not being able to do anything about the Audis, and you see how the fortunes of 88 have changed now with the red flag coming out to bunch them all up. Gusto really being given a lifeline into the second stint. So fastest lap of the race, Langevin, he's pushing on behind Gusto. Just had the Reinhard Koffler KTM through, and that now leads the race, in fact, by pitting earlier. So 812 leads. In second place now is this Mercedes of Ludovic Badet, that's second. Then in third place will be Henri Hassad's, now Anthony Beltoise Audi. Fourth is the Ricci Mercedes. Fifth is Rossina. Sixth is De Giusto, and seventh, the yellow Audi right behind him of Stinus Langevin. And then in eighth place, it is Sedi Samini in the background in the KTM. So 8.6 seconds is the lead margin, but the question remains as to whether or not Koffler's pit stop is going to count or whether a penalty comes. So he's the on-the-road race leader, but being investigated. Ludovic Badet behind him. Last lap was quicker. Badet did the best lap of the race, so he's hunting him down anyway. And then Beltoise has just done the absolute best first sector. So there's a concertina effect for the race lead, as here Stinus Langevin tries to find a way into the top six at the expense of Mattia Di Gusto. These cars are coming out of turn 8. Out of 12 is coming Reinhard Koffler. So the KTM jumping into the lead, that early stop, it got to the team just as pit window opened. So whether that was legit is what's being reviewed by the officials, and it's coming in. So 812 is coming into the pit lane. So is this a drive-through that's been applied? Not seen anything on the timing screen, or let's have a look. Does the team wave it through? Or are they going to stop the car? They're going to stop the car. I've not seen a penalty come up on the screen, but the team have stopped, and it's got a problem by the look of it. So there. Driver out. So the window closed, Reinhard Koffler into the pits, but whether that stop was legit or not kind of doesn't really matter now. So there is 87, which will take over the race lead, Ludovic Badet, and behind is Anthony Beltoise there, and he is chasing. So Beltoise last time went quicker, and he's hunting him down. So number 67 Audi runs second, and as they come down towards the left-hander of turn 14, Ludovic Badet leads. 17 3/4 minutes are on the clock. Now that car takes over the lead officially because it goes ahead of the KTM in the pits. And Anthony Beltoise is 6.2 seconds back, and Ludovic Badet responded last time by going faster. Now, back into the race goes Koffler. That rather, to me, makes it look as though they've had to do the regulation pit stop all over again, but nothing has come up on the timing screen to confirm that. So Reinhard Koffler rejoins just ahead of Mattia Di Giusto, but they've dropped a lap by doing that extra pit stop. Now Langevin still stuck, isn't he, behind Di Giusto? Beltoise, running second, has just done another absolute best first sector. So there's another big push coming on here to try to get on terms with the Mercedes. It's a long lap, remember, 4 kilometres long, and they're bouncing over the curb is Benjamin Ricci. Now he's running in third place, but not lapping as quickly as those ahead. So the Mercedes presses on, but Benjamin Ricci sort of needs the top two to get together and delay themselves, really, to give him a realistic chance. So Badet, Beltoise, Ricci the top three, Rossina hanging on a fourth, De Giusto fifth, and here Langin in sixth place. Lead is through once more. Lead gap 6.4 seconds, and Ludovic Badet still with the quickest lap of the race to his name. Langin once more lines up to think about a move against De Giusto, pulls out. Wasn't a massive commitment to that. He did sort of telegraph it a bit, crept out of the slipstream going up towards turn 2. So no surprise that De Giusto is able to defend. De Giusto was in all sorts of hot water this morning for repeated track limit offences. But for the moment, hangs on to the position. The track limit warnings are all reset after the driver changes. So Badet from Beltoise is the order up front. And Reinhard Koffler has just done the absolute best first sector, which makes me think that it was another pit stop that they've been told to do, rather than a problem, because the car seems to be perfectly healthy, doesn't it? Down the hill drops De Giusto, ahead of Langin. Nose to tail, Koffler a lap down, trying to claw himself back into contention. And Langin, we know he's quick, but can't make progress while he's stuck behind Mathieu De Giusto, who's doing everything absolutely right to defend. The lead gap last time was 6.4 seconds, Badet to Beltoise. Langin here still crawling all over the back of the Mathieu De Giusto Audi. Up towards the line they come. Over the timing line. Now, 812 has been exercising my little grey cells. Gemma has been able to go and investigate further in the pit lane. Gemma, what news about the KTM?
Yeah, David, I've just spoken to Martin. He's not in the happiest of moods, you have to say. The race engineer actually called him in for that first pit stop where we saw him come in before the pit window was open, not realising that the safety car had not crossed the start-finish line. Race control picked it up and insisted on that second pit stop that we just saw him take. So bitterly disappointing for them, and not a very happy Martin Koch at the moment.
Not surprised. Thanks, Gemma. Yeah, so it was therefore enforcing the regulation stop, bringing the car in to serve the regulation pit stop in the window. So understandably, across Martin Koch and the team misreading the situation. And even though the timing screen still said pit window not open, they brought the car in, out of the window, started the stop. The rest is history. Beltoise, in the meantime, still pushing and still closing on Ludovic Badet. Tucked, he's just done 2 absolute bests in the sectors. Langin, in the meantime, just can't really do anything about, it seems, the cars ahead. He's still stuck behind De Giusto. Driver's still trying to keep away from anything slippery on the racetrack as they head again down into turn 14. Up towards the line they come. 13 minutes of the race remains and the lead gap is coming down. Beltoise has just done another fastest lap of the race. That gap is now down to 5.6 seconds then. So he's hustling on, he's closing, but he's done that before, and then Ludovic Badet sort of able to respond and stretch it a little bit. So again, Badet only has to win by thousandths, doesn't matter what the gap is as long as he's ahead. But Beltoise has the pace to close, that's certainly true. Further back, Sedi Samini, and there is 17, the delayed Dani Pedrosa KTM. Went after years of being a Honda rider to KTM as a test and development rider, and now on 4 wheels for KTM as well. So there you've got Leonardo Gorini. Now he is chasing Samini for AM honours, and the gap is 8 seconds actually. So Leonardo Gorini who stayed out a little bit longer, thought he was doing the right thing. Well, he got ahead of Krabec, but Sedi Samini is now looking pretty strong in that class in KTM number 16, having taken it over from Klaus Angerhofer. They've had one win together this year. Sedi Samini sort of joined it a bit late, but he's been a stalwart of the championship. He's raced in GT2 since the category burst into life. Missed the first couple of rounds, but has been a welcome returnee to the KTM ranks. So as the leaders go through, 5.3 seconds the margin, came down a little bit more last time. Still here, Mattia Di Giusto fending off Stinus Longin, and the KTM ahead is the one that's a lap down, Reinhard Koffler, after the second regulation stop. So lap 22 we're on, Badet 5.3 seconds clear. And again, look, Longin having another committed go at Di Giusto. Closing, but you've got two very evenly matched cars, same type of car, different teams running them, but there's no advantage at all other than Longin's ability if he can find half a gap around the circuit, because they are very, very evenly matched, these two. Drop down the hill to turn 8. Up the road ahead remains Benjamin Ricci. Now, he is not lapping as quickly as the top two. And finally, Longin has done it. Prizes open the door coming out of 8, dives up the inside and he goes by. So Longin is through. Now, let's see what he can do about Stefan Rossina up the road in the KTM. It's taken him a long time, that, to get by. Now that he's done it, off in pursuit goes Stinus Longin. So can he get himself into 4th? Can he get himself into 3rd? Because actually, Ricci is not that far up the road further on. And as the clock ticks on down, we're into the last 10 minutes. You can guarantee that Longin will give it a really good go here. The leaders have gone by, and the margin is 5.3 seconds this time. The lowly Ricci is 3rd, ahead of Rossina in 4th place. That's 1.9 seconds, that margin, as Henri Hassad looks on and waits to see whether his car can catch. There is Longin, now 5th. The fastest lap of the race might be on for Stinus Longin. We'll see what he can do now that he's got clear air ahead of him. He won't be clear for that long, though, because he is catching the traffic. So Stinus Longin continues to hustle on. Turns now from turns 4, 5, makes the climb to 6 in a moment, where Benjamin Ricci is. And then as the drivers come across the top of the circuit, over that back part, the Audi inching up onto the tail of the KTM of Reinhard Koffler, which is the lap down, but that's got to be negotiated first, of course. Some of the teams asking if 812, the green and black KTM, could sort of get out of the fight, because it's not fighting for position. But anyway, for the moment, he is there, sitting on the tail of Stefan Rossina. And now Anthony Beltoise does an absolute best middle sector, so again he continues to push, and drama there. That was Mattia Di Giusto finding all the speed he tried, rather than him locking up. He just sort of went a bit deep, drove over all of the dust that hasn't yet been cleared away. Ludovic Badet there, race leader. Anthony Beltoise 2nd. And the gap between them is down again, 4.7 seconds, but Ludovic Badet might just have enough in hand here as the race enters its last 8 minutes. So there is Anthony Beltoise continuing to do fast laps. He's got to try to make up 4.7 seconds against the Mercedes. And then further back, Benjamin Ricci is still 3rd. The gap between Rossina and Longin is 1 second. So Stinus Longin is certainly closing, but as he's closing, he's also got the Koffler KTM to lap, so that's going to be where things are interrupted for him, rather. So they turn once more. So you can see the pace that Longin has got. In theory, Reinhard Koffler should just move out of his way. He's a lap down and let him go, and no doubt the teams will be on the radio to race control saying, please can you do something about that KTM? Let him get the message to move over so he doesn't impede a car that's on the lead lap. Koffler, in the meantime, on the same pace as Rossina, so staying with him. And Ergo acting as a buffer, of course, as well. Ricci still running third and being able to maintain the gap. 8.7 seconds back from Beltoise. He is 2.3 up on Stefan Rossina. So as the race leaders now put 24 laps in the book, the gap is 4.8 seconds. That time around, Bardet responding just fractionally quicker by a 10th, but extending the margin a little. And as they come over the line, Langevin close to Koffler, but then Reinhard Koffler sort of goes to the middle of the road. No chance for Langevin to dive past him there. So 8.12 in 10th place with good speed. Trouble is, he's not helping and now defending. So Stinus Langevin can't find a way through. He's not going to be allowed by, clearly, by the KTM. No suggestion that Koffler's going to get out of his way. It looks like Langevin's going to have to fight for this, which is not great news for him. He's hustling on. So up towards turn 6 they come. But Stinus Langevin doesn't want to have to try to dive past the back marker. He wants the back marker to get out of the way. But I'm looking for a lighting panel with a blue light on it to say to Koffler, faster car behind, move over. Not seeing any at the moment. So the KTMs, one in 4th, one in 10th, rather getting in the way of Stinus Langevin's charge. And he in turn is therefore going to be caught again if he's not careful by Mattia Di Giusto. We've got now 5 more minutes of the race, just over. Langevin riding the curbs. Reinhard Koffler heading towards the end of a lap as Langevin again closes, gets up the inside, shows his nose, shows intent, but no way through there. So the race leader is on lap 26. 4 3/4 minutes to go and 4.7 seconds the margin. Barring a mistake, I would suggest that Ludovic Bardet has probably done enough now because the gap hasn't been coming down sufficiently quickly from the efforts of the charging Beltoise behind. So Bardet looks like he's managed to consolidate the advantage. There is the increasingly frustrated Peter Gulinks. But what his presence between the cars of Rossina and Langevin is doing is, of course, protecting, preserving that 4th place for Stefan Rossina. That, then, is the race leader. So, late into the championship, only joined in, of course, at Portimao de Jean-Luc Beaublic. It's Ludovic Bardet's first outing in a GT2 car, and it could well turn out to be a debut win for him, and a maiden win in GT2 for Beaublic as well. So that'll be a really good result. And Mercedes, which has already been a winning brand this year thanks to the Ricci's, with different customers, could be winning again here. 3.5 minutes just over remains. The car goes through. Another lap in the book. Into a run towards turn 2 comes the Mercedes. Hit the brakes, nose dips. The gap was 4.1 seconds last time, so again down a fraction more. But with 3 minutes on the clock, 2 more laps at the end of this, potentially. Through turns, Ludovic Bardet. You can see how he's working the car. Bardet's no slouch, certainly, and sliding the car up towards turn 6. So coming towards the left-hander of 7th, so where the road starts to drop down the hill, you sort of turn and turn again. It tightens as you keep on turning. And Ludovic Bardet then was about a 10th slower than Beltoise in the first sector. And this is how it's been really during this stint. They've been trading 10ths here and there, but it's never come down markedly enough for Bardet to be really threatened. Drops down then towards turn 12 now. Uses a lot of the curb, proof that the speedy dryer's done its job and the circuit is drier and safer. The driver's getting confidence now to push on over the curbs again. Right, so 2 minutes to go. Out of turn 14 comes Ludovic Bardet, and so 2 more laps to go because it'll be about half a minute, 40 seconds or so at the end of the next lap before the race ends. Down he goes towards turn 1. The gap over Beltoise 4 seconds, so it has come down a bit more on that lap. So Ludovic Badet hangs on to an advantage, not a monster advantage, but an advantage nonetheless. Further back, Longchamp has finally wriggled past Koffler, so he's been released. The KTM lets all the traffic go, finally. And there now, you've got Benjamin Ricci for third, Rossina in fourth, and Longchamp fifth. So that 1 second margin between them and 2 laps to go, that might come down enough to give Longchamp a chance to challenge before the very end. Let's see. I head now into turn 5, and you can see how hard he is pushing. That's Leonardo Gorini, second in AM, and behind him is Jan Krabec, third in AM. That could change before the end as well here. So again, the two of them down to turn 2. 1 more lap for them to go. At the end of this, there is number 1 Audi, and you can see the way that Stinus Longchamp coming out of turn 8 is almost up now with Rossina in the KTM. Ludovic Badet onto his last lap then, into the last half a minute. Jean-Luc Boblic almost can't believe what he's seeing here, but believe it, Jean-Luc, a win beckons. Through he goes. So Ludovic Badet from Anthony Beltoise. The gap is down another couple of tenths, down to 3.8, but try as he might, it's going to take an error out of Badet to give Beltoise the win now. Through there in third spot goes the Mercedes of Benjamin Ricci, and in the background, the margin between Rossina and Longchamp is 0.4 of a second, but Stinus Longchamp not committing to a dive on the inside there. Right, Badet works his way up towards turn 6 then, and looking oh so strong up front now. The Mercedes AMG GT2, new last year, and this will be another good sales tool, I suspect, to conquer the KTMs, which have been very fleet of foot in GT2 racing hitherto. Ludovic Badet up towards turn 10 then. Brakes, sets the car up for the corner, turns in, and now edges ever closer to victory. The background is Anthony Beltoise, who I think he's not going to be able to do it. He has tried, certainly, he's done the fastest lap, but he's not going to get there. So up towards turn 14. Checkered flag at the ready, and it is going to be a race win for Ludovic Badet and Jean-Luc Boblic for the Mercedes AMG GT2. They win race 1 in the Fanatec GT2 European Series, and a very happy Jean-Luc Boblic for somebody to shake hands with, because they're all focused on the data. But Jean-Luc Boblic and Ludovic Badet, the winners, and one last chance here for Longchamp to have a go at Rossina coming up towards the line. Nose to tail they run, but it's going to be the KTM that stays ahead as they come to the checkered flag. Race win for Ludovic Badet and Jean-Luc Boblic. Henri Assad and Anthony Beltoise second, Benjamin Amaro reaching third, and then fourth to Stefan Rossina and start driver Nicolas Salins, fifth Stinus Longchamp and Peter Gulings. The winning, sixth I should mention, Stefan Rattel and Mathieu de Giusto, they came good in the second stint. The winning AM is going to be Sedi Samini, who goes through now, sharing the KTM with Klaus Angerhofer. Second AM, Jan Krabec, who did get ahead of Leonardo Gorini towards the end of the race. So Krabec second in AM and the Porsche of Gorini in third. So there is Ludovic Badet on his way back to the pit lane. Of course, tomorrow they will get success time to be added on in their pit stop, so it may not be a win tomorrow, but you never know. That was a race that we didn't predict or couldn't really have expected how it was going to shape out with the oil and the red flag and everything else that went with it. So the results of race 1 of Fanatec GT2 European Series. Jean-Luc Boblic and Ludovic Badet, the winners from Henri Assad and Anthony Beltoise, and then Mauro and Benjamin Ricci take third. Fourth to Stefan Rossina and Nicolas Salins. Fifth, Peter Gulings and Stinus Longchamp, with in sixth place Mathieu de Giusto and Stefan Rattel. Seventh to Klaus Angerhofer and Sedi Samini. Then Jan Krabec from Leonardo Gorini. 10th, Martin Koch and Reinhard Koffler. 11th, quite badly delayed, as we'd seen with the trip into the gravel, Hubert Trunkenpoltz and Danny Pedrosa. So Jean-Luc Bobelic, the first driver to take a win in GT2 and GT3 and GT4. So I said how experienced a driver he was, and makes a little history note as well. So bravo Jean-Luc Bobelic, excellent effort that. And as I said in the course of the race, somebody new to the GT2 concept, and he came into it at Portimao a month or two ago in the last meeting. It's been a great conversion. So he stalks up the pit lane, ready to go for the presentations. And we'll be delighted, no doubt, once Ludovic Badet arrives in Parc Fermé. So there's the Mercedes AMG from the Audi, from the Mercedes. That's the way it works in the Pro-Am class and overall, and a KTM win within the AM contest in race 1 this weekend. So there you've got the Ricci's Mercedes, another car run by Acodis ASP, Jérôme Policon's team, which of course is here busily running cars within the GT3 World Challenge. And their door open, out steps Benjamin Ricci. Celebrations all round, and we're very happy Ludovic Badet, race winner, Jean-Luc Bobelic somewhere, go join in the celebrations. And Anthony Beltoise then in second spot. Right, there is Ludovic Badet, Jean-Luc Bobelic is somewhere, and Gemma Scott is down there trying to marshal everybody into the right place that they can have a word, but they're all terribly busy congratulating each other. There is Jean-Luc Bobelic. We'll let Gemma try and orchestrate this.
Jean-Luc, you have earned this hat. Congratulations, a fantastic performance. Oh oui, on peut faire en français si vous voulez. Félicitations. Première, c'est super.
Bah, tout d'abord, merci à Stéphane d'organiser ce championnat, c'est vraiment sympa. Et puis, nous, on a essayé de faire briller cette voiture pour une première sortie. On avait eu une expérience avec l'autre voiture, mais là, voilà. Et puis, on a sorti un pilote de la naphtaline, qui ça fait longtemps qu'il n'a pas roulé. Et il nous fait le job.
A fantastic job as well it was. I'm going to give you a hat as well, Ludovic. Obviously, just quickly before I come to you, Jean-Luc saying what a fantastic championship that Stefan Rattel's put together here as well, and what a great opportunity it was to get this car out, back out and rolling and with the Acadis team.
Yeah, sure. You know, Stefan Rattel knows the sport, the motorsport very well, and he organizes all the time a very good race. And I'm very happy because when Jean-Luc called me to say, you want to make a 1 or 2 races with me to finish the season, I say, yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I prefer to make the car, the go-kart, and I say, okay, I try to finish with you because it's a very good friend, and it's a long story together, and I'm really happy for him, for the team, and for Stefan with the car and everything. Thanks a lot for everybody.
Well, a great partnership it was too. First!
Excellent results, and it's been a long time since we last saw Ludovic Badet on track, I think, so good to have him back, and we're very happy with that race win. So, the stunning-looking Mercedes AMG GT2 comes out on top. Jean-Luc Bobelic has been a stalwart Mercedes racer in GT4 and in GT3 prior to that in recent seasons, so adding more experience, more three-pointed star miles to his CV, and the Mercedes coming home victorious in the end by 3.5 seconds. The gap did come down a little bit, but never a threat, Anthony Beltoise. The other Mercedes crew in the top 3, the Ricci Père et Fils. Mauro started, Benjamin brought it home, and they finished third, and they're with Gemma as well.
Mauro, it's like our third chat today already, but congratulations, a fantastic race result. You said that Benjamin may want to speak better than you. I don't think that's right. Your English is fantastic, but Benjamin, I do want to say congratulations. That wasn't an easy race. It was so disruptive. You stepped in and it settled down a bit.
Yeah, it was hard to stay focused. You know, we were ready to jump into the car and the red flag, but I think my father did a very good job, you know, bringing the car back, and then with the team we were used to do the driver change,
and I exit the pit third, and I try to maintain the gap, and here we are. The car was really good. I think we worked hard to have a good setup. So yeah, happy, very happy.
Congratulations to both of you. Thank you. Well done.
Mauro Ricci and his son Benjamin Ricci third overall and third in the Pro-Am class. And then the winning AMs, Klaus Angerhofer and Seti Sarmini. And Anthony Beltoise and Henri Hassad second. Anthony Beltoise gave it his best shot, but could never quite get close enough. Let's hear his thoughts with Gemma.
Anthony, all smiles, and quite rightly so. That was a fantastic result.
Yes, for us it's very good for the championship. We have a big penalty. Congrats to my teammate. We did a very good job. The car was fantastic to drive, and I tell you, for the championship, it's a very good operation for us. I tried to catch the Mercedes, but Ludovic was too quick and too far away.
Well,
so we are very happy. It's a French podium for us. It's very good.
Well, it's a French top three as well. Fantastic. Congratulations to all of you. Well done, boys. Thank you very much.
So Anthony Beltoise thinking about the points, and also, of course, being appreciative of the fact that with the extra time in the pits, that compensation penalty, it's always going to be tough, and the red flag, and therefore bunching up everybody didn't really help either. So because the race was resumed rather than stopped, so the gaps came down, not being added on at the end, because the race did resume, you see what I'm getting to, rather than being a restart. Right, drivers are going to the podium slowly, and we can have a look at the highlights of that race in the meantime. So, when they finally got underway, after a messy first attempt, a jump start penalty was given to the Nicolas Sailens KTM, which in turn was third heading into the first corner, and Peter Gulinks forced out wide as he ran over the curb. Pressing hard was Mantas Janovicius with the Porsche, but it wasn't long before he was really the topic of the race by bouncing over curb and putting liquid down on the circuit, which caught out the unwary. A little bit wide went Sailens, and that enabled Jean-Luc Boblic to move through and gain a position. But then, spilling liquid as it went, Janovicius had a big moment coming out of turn 12, but he persevered with the oil dropping out of the bottom of the car. Body splashed as behind, others caught the oil, and Hubert Trinkenpoltz went into the gravel. The safety car was thrown, that became a red flag to clear up all the mess, and then on the restart, the drivers had effectively just one lap before diving in for the pit stop window to be opened. With all the gaps having come down, of course, that made quite an impact to the order in the second stint, and Ludovic Badet took over the race lead after Reinhard Koffler was forced to make a second pit stop because the one he'd done was before the window opened and therefore outside the regulations. So Ludovic Badet led, and in second place Anthony Beltoise chased, but he could never quite get close enough as Stinus Langin finally wriggled his way onto the tail of Stefan Rossina, but couldn't usurp him either. Ludovic Badet and Jean-Luc Boblic, race winners then in race one of the weekend in Fanatec GT2 European Series. So the podium awaits. And the Vol Race competitors out on track, which is the local performance tuning, drifting, time attack style competition, and the multitude of BMWs that are on track, some going in a straight line, others doing plenty of drifting and handbrake turns at the moment, but all enjoying themselves, in total contrast to the calm of the podium at the moment. Right, drivers are being brought forward, and so Benjamin and Mauro Ricci for third place. First of all, step forward to the podium. Third overall, third in Pro-Am. Second to Anthony Beltoise and Henri Hassad. More points helped for the championship. And then the top step goes the way of Jean-Luc Boblic and Ludovic Badet. A very, very happy driver indeed, given the call in the last few days. And it is a return to racing and a win for Ludovic Badet with Jean-Luc Boblic for the Acodis ASP team. So the national anthem for the French drivers, but also the French team, Acodis ASP. And there, Georgie Chapman from Pirelli Racing brings forward the trophies. So the third place crew to Benjamin and Mauro Ricci, then to the second place drivers of Henri Hassad and to Anthony Beltoise. And then the winners' trophies. Oh, champagne goes, I think. Now the trophies can get to the race winners, but a rather embarrassed Jean-Luc Beaubelic there. He's just broke the champagne bottle. Anyway, he's got a trophy. That's the more important thing. And he and Ludovic Badet can celebrate in Fanatec GT2 European Series. There should also be trophies to the Iron Cup winners, which is to the drivers who are of a given age, shall we say that. So, trophies presented, and some drivers elect to keep the champagne. Oh, there's the bottle, the errant bottle. You can have that one, Ludovic, says Jean-Luc. So they're going to keep that and party tonight, and the podium, therefore, is made ready for the AMS. The circuit Riccardo Tormo is currently being attacked by myriad BMWs as part of this Vol Race extravaganza, which brings hundreds of cars and thousands of fans to the circuit, and it's at the moment a kind of track day for modified road cars. The AM podium is next, which is Sedi Sarmini and Klaus Angerhofer's victory from Jan Krabec, and then Leonardo Gorini in third. So the drivers from AM, where Sedi Sarmini conquered with Klaus Angerhofer, come to the podium in the reverse order. So Leonardo Gorini there in third, Jan Krabec for second place, KTM driver. And then the winners, Klaus Angerhofer first, Sedi Sarmini behind him, and the winning drivers there on the podium in AM. So the winning drivers receive the trophies. Gonzalo Gobert, the director manager of the circuit. Riccardo Tormo, the Valencia permanent circuit. Of course, there was for a few years the street circuit down in the port, which was a Grand Prix venue. Trophies then to the top three crews, including the winners, plural, Klaus Angerhofer and Sedi Sarmini. They come out on top at the end of race one. But of course, tomorrow might be a rather different story, given that you have the success penalties to apply. So the trophies presented, photographs taken, and drivers will make their way from the podium. Job done. They have a morning race tomorrow, and then the final two races next month in Paul Ricard. Congratulations then to Jean-Luc Beaubelic and Ludovic Badet for coming through as race winners. 3.5 seconds the winning margin, but a different story tomorrow, no doubt, from Gemma Scott and David Addison, though, at Valencia. Thanks for your company. We'll see you tomorrow for race 2. Bye for now.